Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to Generation Z Gadgets. So on this episode of Gadget v Gadget, we're going to be comparing the Google Pixelbook to the Microsoft Surface Book 2. So they're both hybrids, which means that they can double as tablets and also a traditional laptop. You can see this becoming more and more popular these days, especially with Apple's recent release of iPadOS, which gives the iPad a lot of capabilities of the Mac, making the UI more like a Mac. So you can see that the consumers are starting to look for some sort of hybrid of like portability and tablet intimacy coupled with the power and the capabilities of a laptop. So I'm going to do something for this comparison of Gadget v Gadget. For this episode, I'm going to be talking at a glance what these two products are. So at a glance, the Google Pixelbook is Google's laptop tablet hybrid. It starts at $900, and in laptop mode, there's a nice scissor mechanism keyboard with palm rest, trackpad, and aluminum design. And the tablet is a 12.3 inch on the diagonal touchscreen LCD with a resolution of 2400 by 1600 pixels, and that's a pixel density of 235 pixels per inch. It does come with Google Assistant and runs Chrome OS like the Chromebooks do. And it has a 10-hour battery life, which is something that you see pretty much standard on most full-size tablets these days. And with 15 minutes of charging, you can get up to 2 hours of use. So it's very fast charging technology in this product. In addition, it has the 7th gen Intel Core i5 or i7 processor, and only a front-facing camera, no rear-facing camera. A front-facing camera that is 720p at 60 frames per second. So it's mainly ideal for video conferencing, but nothing too major. You're not going to be taking any pictures of this guy for sure. It also does come with a 3.5mm headphone jack. It does also come separately with a Pixelbook pen, and we're going to be talking about this a little bit later, but essentially this pen is pressure sensitive. It has, according to Google's website, a low latency, but we'll talk about that later, and it has tilt support. So basically that's the Google Pixelbook at a glance, and we're going to be delving into it a bit later in this video, but let's talk now about the Surface Book 2. So this is Microsoft's flagship laptop tablet hybrid, but it's a serious laptop for the pros. So it starts at a bit more, to $1,050. And in laptop mode, there's a very ergonomic feel scissor mechanism keyboard, which I've tried with palm rest, a trackpad, and actually the design is made of magnesium. And the tablet is a 12.3 inch or 15 inch on the diagonal LCD touchscreen with a resolution, slightly higher resolution of 3000 by 2000 pixels on the 12.3 inch, and on the larger 15 inch variant, a resolution of 3240 by 2160. And the respective pixel densities on these two variants are 267 pixels per inch and 260 pixels per inch. It does have Cortana and it runs Windows 10. And you can get up to 17 hours of video playback according to Microsoft. So the battery seems to be quite a bit bigger than the one on the Pixelbook. In terms of the processors, you get a 7th gen Intel Core i5 or i7 or an 8th gen Intel Core i7. It also does come with a 3.5mm headphone jack and separately the Surface Pen, which is pressure sensitive, has a low latency, tilt support, and it has been reviewed and critically acclaimed by tech critics all around the world. So I'm actually going to give you the verdict early this time. This time I'm going to give you the verdict and explain my reasoning behind my statement. And if you agree with some of the reasons that I list, then you know which one to get. So what I personally think is that the Microsoft Surface Book 2 is the better buy in almost every case. So here's a list of reasons why I think so. So although it's more expensive, the roughly $200 price difference between the Pixelbook and the Surface Book 2 is well justified. So for starters, the connectivity or the ports is much better on the Surface Book 2, like night and day difference. The Pixelbook comes with 2 USB-C ports and the 3.5mm headphone jack I mentioned earlier, which is about standard on a pro-level tablet, but definitely not good enough for a fully fledged laptop. However, on the other hand, the Surface Book 2 comes with 2 USB 3/A ports, 1 USB-C port, a 3.5mm headphone jack, 2 Surface Connect ports for monitors and TVs, a full-size SD card reader, and compatibility with the Surface Dial, which has no equivalent on the Google side. The Surface Dial essentially facilitates a lot of the creative processes on the Surface Book that you can do alongside your Surface Pen. So the second reason why the Surface Book 2 is definitely better than the Pixelbook is that the Surface Book 2 has Windows Hello built in, while Pixelbook still has password protection, which is sort of last gen, like they don't even have a fingerprint sensor. And the third reason is the accessories. So Google's Pixelbook keyboard is $200 and the pen is $100. That's kind of reasonable. But Microsoft Surface Book 2, the keyboard is included in the product and the pen is $100. And do the math. Bear in mind that even if the keyboard were sold separately from the Surface Book 2, the Surface Book still outweighs the Pixelbook, and definitely the price difference is still justified, even if the keyboard were sold separately. Also keep in mind that the Surface Pen is way better of a product than the Pixelbook pen, and we'll talk about that a little bit later too. So fourth reason why the Surface Book 2 is definitely better than the Pixelbook and is the one you should buy is because of the storage options. So on the Pixelbook you have storage options of 128 gigs as your base model, which is definitely reasonable, 256 gigs and 512 gigs. However, on the Surface Book 2, you have a step up from that. 256 gigs is the base model, up to 1 terabyte of storage. And also the display is even a higher resolution on the 12.3-inch version, and there's not even a 15-inch variant for the Pixelbook, so it's really not competing in the same league anymore. And so finally, the sixth and final reason why the Surface Book 2 is better than the Pixelbook and is worth your money if you're in the market for a non-Mac is that the Surface Book runs Windows 10, which is without a shadow of a doubt better than Google's Chrome OS. So don't get me wrong, Chrome OS is decent, but honestly, at the end of the day, the chances are apps run better on Windows 10. More apps are available on Windows 10 and supported on Windows 10. Things look better on Windows 10. Everything is way better optimized, and Microsoft has just been making developing Windows for more than 25, probably almost 30 years now. Besides, it's unlikely that you as a consumer are more familiar with Chrome OS than you are with Windows 10. Even if you are more familiar and more accustomed to the UI in Chrome OS, I would highly suggest that you switch over to Windows. So overall, it's a no-brainer at the end of the day. If you really think about it, the Surface Book 2 has better build quality, better reputation overall, and it just feels more like an actual computer. The Pixelbook, on the other hand, which has been actually reviewed pretty badly, while the Surface Book 2 has actually been received by critics very well. Also, the Pixelbook pen has said to be very laggy, whereas the Surface Pen has been reviewed to be one of the best styluses on the market, styluses. And the Pixelbook just in general just still feels like a hybrid, whereas the Surface Book 2 feels like a legit laptop. So the biggest reason for this is just, I feel, Chrome OS versus Windows 10. Chrome OS just gives me more of like a basic, watered down version of desktop class software, whereas the operating system, Windows 10, when you start using Windows 10, you know that you're on a PC. You know that you're on a legit computer. So let me know if you enjoyed this comparison. Basically, my reasoning was that a lot of people actually don't know that the Pixelbook is not nearly at the same level as the Surface Book 2, and honestly, those are honestly the two options, the two go-to companies these days if you're not looking into an Apple Mac. If you're really against using Mac OS, then a lot of people turn to the two other biggest companies that aren't Apple, which are Google and Microsoft. And while there are definitely other manufacturers out there, but I just wanted to take two of the biggest tech giants and just pit them against each other, their flagship products, in this case the laptop tablet hybrids that are becoming increasingly popular among average consumers these days. So the Pixelbook and the Microsoft Surface Book 2 against each other, and it's pretty clear what the winner is, honestly. It's the Surface Book 2. But anyway, I'll leave links to both of them in the description below. And thanks for watching. Check the links in the description below, like I said, and click some of these videos that I've made. I think you really enjoy them. And yeah, that's about it. It's time for the weekend, guys. So I'll see you, as always, in the next video next week.